So what we're going to do is come down onto the ground, onto our yoga mat, and we're going to use it this way, so it's going the height of us. So we'll be laying on it with one end of the yoga mat at about the bra strap area, and then up to our head will be on it, and then the rest of us will be on the floor, and just have the chain next to you. So, and make sure you're set up so that you can get your arms overhead when you lay down onto your mat. So don't set up too close to a wall. So the bottom edge will be about at the bra strap. You might go one vertebra above or one vertebra below, depending on how beefy your mat is. My mat is quite thin, so the full roll is okay, but if you've got one of those newer, heavier mats and your roll ends up being quite big, you might only roll up part of your roll or part of your mat and then have the tail of the mat out to a side. But you want to be able to lay on it with your feet on the ground and your arms, and that you don't feel like you're being like pushed up aggressively at the end of that roll. And then you're going to take the chain and you're just going to drape it above your bra line across your chest and down towards your armpits will be the tails of the chain. Arms can be on the floor. You could place hands on the pelvis. You could place hands on the lower ribs. And we're just going to spend a couple minutes here just breathing in and breathing out. And we're not trying to make the breath any deeper or fuller than it is. Just feel your in-breath and your out-breath. Okay, then you might place your hands in another position. And again, just take a couple of breaths here. Okay. And then we're going to take our chain off of our chest and just set it to the side for a second. And then we're going to bring our fingertips, thumb tip all together, kind of as if we were cupping a big navel orange or a softball in between the palms of our hands with our fingertips touching. Okay. And with those fingertips pressed into one another, we're just going to take the arms overhead and back up. And the arms will just go to wherever the arms go, where it feels like both kind of arms and shoulders are moving smoothly. Okay, the next time the arms come over the chest, I want you to pause for a second. Just kind of shrug the hands towards the ceiling, up from the chest and back down a couple times. You'll feel how your shoulder blades move on your back. And then let them rest again. And become aware of your collarbones and where your collarbones come out to meet your arm bones. at the shoulder socket, and I want you to pick your expanded side. You're going to think that collarbone pushes forward the end of it, and your compressed side or down side, that collarbone's going to press back. And so think of this little press forward and back of the collarbones as you again take the hands towards the ceiling and back down to the floor. Okay, stick with that sense of your expanded or up side, thinking collarbone forward, or in this orientation towards the ceiling, and the compressed or down side, thinking of it towards the floor in this orientation or back. And again, think that action of the collarbones as you take the arms overhead and bring them back up. And just notice the change in the movement as you kind of have a focal point closer to that point of movement or at the shoulder, then further away. Okay, you're going to let those arms go. We're going to pick up our chain and just loop it around both of your hands. So you'll have a length of chain, you'll have a loop on each hand. And we're going to just pick a side that is going to be your pulling side and a side that's going to be your drag or anchor side. The key is that drag or anchor side, it's just providing some resistance or slowing down the pull side. It's not trying to pull in the opposite direction. So if we pull both hands apart, we can feel how that's different than if I take my expanded side and it's going to be my drag as I pull with my compressed side. So it just creates pull or slows down the pull. So again, with the hands at about chest height, we're going to pick our pulling side, which is going to be the compressed side, and we're going to pull out and then reach up and bring it back down. Pull out and then reach up and bring it back down. Pull out and reach up and then bring it back. Pull out and then reach up. Okay, so now that compressed side is going to be our resistance or drag side, and our expanded side is going to pull out and reach up. Pull out and reach up. One more time, pull out and reach up, and pull out and reach up. Okay, so now going back to that compressed side, and if you want to bring in that awareness of the collarbone, you can. So on this side, a sense of the collarbone going towards the floor or back on our compressed side. So it's going to pull out, and even though we're reaching up, we're thinking of that end of the collarbone pressing back, out and up, out and up, out and up. Okay, and then we're going to go to the expanded side. This collarbone's pressing forward or to the ceiling, out, up, pull out, pull, reach up, pull, reach up. Okay, good. So now we're going to go back to that compressed side. It's going to pull, and we're going to reach overhead. It's going to keep pulling. The other side comes along, but it's just a bit of resistance. So we're going to pull and go overhead, pull and overhead, pull and overhead, pull and overhead. Okay, going to that other side, pull, and it's going to go overhead, pull. You can bring in the collarbone action if you want. Pull, and overhead, one more. Okay, good. Those arms are going to reach up to the ceiling. This time that compressed side, it's going to pull. We're going to bend the elbow and bring it towards the floor. And then reset. Again, pull. One more, pull. And then reset. And then we're going to go to that expanded side. So the expanded side is going to pull. Elbow's going to kiss the floor. Pull. And pull. Good. Let's set the chain down. Roll off to the side. We'll scoot that yoga mat out from under us for a second. Just come onto your back. And take a few breaths there. Just notice what you notice with your in and your out breath. Okay, we're going to come to roll to the side, and we're going to place the mat this time across. So our shoulder blades are going to be on it. Our head won't necessarily be on the floor. So you want to come across the backs of the shoulders and across the top of the shoulder blades. So the bottom edge of the shoulder blades, depending how big your yoga mat is and how big your shoulder blades are, the bottom tip of the shoulder blade will be on the yoga mat still too, or just off the edge of it. Okay? So have your head up looking at your knees to start with. And then what we're going to do is work through the feet, and we're going to lift the hips. So lift the hips until your head comes back down to the ground. And then we're going to lower the hips, and you're going to look towards your knees when we lower the hips. And when we take the hips up again, head's going to come to the ground. Okay? The next time we bring the head to the ground, walk the feet up as close to your bum as you can get. Heels won't be on the ground, but the balls of the feet are. We'll lift the hips, really work those shoulders onto the yoga mat, and see if you can get your hands underneath your pelvis. So your elbows are on the floor, hands are underneath the pelvis. The backs of the shoulders are on the mat, so we've got space for our neck and head. Okay, and then work the feet, work the heels towards the ground. Maybe the heels are in slightly. Okay, think of that yaw of the shins. Just seeing how high you can get the hips, and then you're going to lower them down, lift the head up, roll off to the side, and just come onto your back again for a sec. I just want to check in with those of you on the video. Could you feel how when we got the shoulders up on the yoga mat, it gave us space to then create more lift through the hips and arch through the back? Whereas if we were on the ground, we wouldn't have that space. Yeah, okay. How about you, Karen? Yeah, okay, awesome. So we wouldn't have had space to move there if we'd been on the ground, especially someone like me. I've got a really long spine, and so I end up running into my head. So we're going to do that one more time. Before you get down there, just so you're not trying to look at the screen and figure things out once you're in position, we're going to come back to that shape. What I want us to play with and work with is, again, this sense like, I don't need my feet to be straight. I want to work sort of heels in and maybe the yaw of my shin. Okay, maybe the yaw of my thighs relative to the yaw of my shin. And then also the yaw of the forearms. So once the hips get lifted, the shoulders and the forearms rolling underneath us are going to even give us more of this extended hip, extended spine position. Okay? So work with that idea of a yawing and pitching of elements of the foot, the shin, and the thigh. So we'll come back down on that yoga mat. Start with your head up, looking at the knees. And again, the further back you can walk the balls of the feet to your hips, the more lift you'll get. Because if I'm out here and I lift my hips, my arc is going to stay really low and long. If I can walk my feet up, then I'm between the pivot point of my feet and my shoulders. My arch will be higher and the buttresses will be lower. So then you can kind of roll your shoulders under. Work, like I said, the balls of the feet, work the heels towards the ground. Work the yaws of the shin. Work the yaws of the forearms. You can bring the hands up to rest on the pelvis. And we want to work those pitches and yaws so that we're not feeling crunchy in the low back. That we've got enough space there. Just take a couple of breaths. And then you'll lower down. Let the head come up so you can look at the knees. So I'm going to show you one other way to kind of come in where the yaw could be helpful. So I'm going to roll to my compressed side, and that's where then I'm going to really fold this leg up. As I come up, I'm going to work that shin towards my expanded side. Okay? So I get here, I lift, then I come back onto my back, and then I could go out that same way or roll to that other side. Okay? This kind of coming to the side to come up can help us sometimes find slightly different angles rather than just a sense of pushing up. So if you're feeling in your lower back at all or having a hard time kind of getting the lift, try working from this side kind of position. Get that foot under, and then we can start to think of the yaw a little more readily as you come in. Okay? And then you could work that same way out rather than going straight up and down. Okay, and if the straight up and down works for you, work it. If that, I find that roll to kind of come in helps. Okay, any questions? Good, okay. How's that feeling on the shoulders? Nice, yeah. Awesome, okay. So it can be great. We can just come in there, breathe. We can come out. That kind of shape was really hard for me for a long time in yoga because I have a really long spine, and that linear kind of way of getting in, my quads were just so locked up that it wasn't sort of workable at all for me. So this has kind of been a fun way to explore it a little bit differently. Let's scoot the mat and unroll it, and we're going to come up to standing. We're going to pick up our chain and keep working with it. So I did a couple of days winter hiking. It got really cold here though. So this has been very good for my shoulders because I was warm enough moving, but yesterday on the way hike out, I did kind of get a chill, and you know by the time I got back to the back to the car, I was like, get this pack off, get all these layers off, have a hot shower, like let the shoulders come down from the ears. Okay, so we're going to take our chain, and you can hold it, or if you've got quite a long one, you might loop it right around the palm. And then you're just going to work a circle. Instinctively, the side that you're on, you will create a circle. Think of that side also of working that collarbone. So if you're on that expanded side or that upside with the chain, you might find that a sense of collarbone forward as the chain comes around feels really nice and helps the chain smooth out for you. Okay, now as you work that chain, just feel the work in the shoulder. And again, follow an instinct of moving that arm or moving your body around the arm. And you'll find your rhythm again. And then you'll move your arm or you'll move your body around the arm. And we want to be feeling shoulder stuff more than wrist or forearm stuff. Okay, we're going to do one more on this side. So get a spiral going and then work the arm or your body around the arm. Okay, let that go. Before we go to the other side, just take a second to stand and notice, feel the right half and then feel the left half of the body. Okay, the different weights or gauges of chains is going to change the load into all those shoulder stabilizers. So I've got a medium gauge one. My heavy one's too heavy. I want you to just be mindful that if your chain is heavier or longer, and so you take it like this to create the spin, now I've created two joints. So it'll be different than having one long tail. So just something to keep in mind. So now on this side, you might notice that you instinctively want to kind of spin it differently than you did on the other side. Go with that. Again, have this awareness of the collarbone. And on this side, you might have more of an awareness of push back, push back, push back on this compressed side. Which way does this one want to go? Yep, get it going. And then again, you're going to work your arm around your body or your body around your arm. There we go. It's like your dance partner is your chain. Oh, that feels so good for the shoulder. Feel that warmth around the shoulder blade, and like you can feel those rotator cuff muscles working. One more time, work the arm around you or you around the arm. Okay, and then we're going to set that down again. And just again, notice the left side, notice the right side. You might even feel a different awareness of your inhale and your exhale. Okay, so we've warmed up this spinal extension. We've warmed up the stuff around our shoulder girdle. What we were doing on the floor, we're going to work it up with the wall now. So this idea of coming in from the side, I'm going to work with the wall as if it's the floor when we were down doing our bridge back bends a second ago. So again, the closer I am into the wall, the tighter my two bridge end points are going to be. The further I am out from the wall, the lower and longer, farther apart those two bridge buttresses are going to be. we want to work the yaw of the shin, but also pay attention to the yaw of the forearm. And we're just going to kind of play here. So a hand comes to the wall. I want to work myself around into that back bend and out the other side. So we've got to get up on the balls of the feet. We've got to let the shins go in the direction that we're going, and our forearms go in the direction that we're trying to go. So I come in on one side, so my forearm is rolling, my shins are rolling, and then I come all the way through. Beautiful. Yes, 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 yes. Similar when we were spinning the chain and working around that arm and that shoulder blade. Same idea here, okay? But now we're working the wall. So do one or two more. Just kind of pay attention really to your process. What yaws, what pitches, where those feet want to be so that you can have a sense of like the MTP joint spinning, being on the balls of the foot, shins spinning, okay? And then you can try going in from that other side. And again, just notice how those yaws and rotations need to work out on coming in on this other direction for you. And you might find that the expression of that back bend is easier coming in one side versus the other side. Okay? So just do one or two more on the side that it feels like the expression and the clarity of sequencing from one action to the other works for you. Yeah, nice. So one thing that we haven't worked with a ton, but like this part of our thumb pad here is like that first MTP joint in our hand. So this next time when you come in, just like you're rolling or rotating, spinning that first MTP joint, work the spin of the MTP joints on the hands. And see how that works for you. Yes, 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 yes. Lovely. Beautiful. Okay, after you come out of that one, just stand. Again, notice what you notice for a few breaths. Okay, we're going to pick up our chain. And it's going to come across just the back of the shoulders and around the outside of the shoulders like a shawl. We've got the ends in our hands. Mine's just long enough. And then find just a little micro chair pose here. And the hands are reaching forward, but we don't want to let the hands pull the torso forward into a forward fold. So the back is reaching back into the chain so that we can stay upright. We're just going to take a couple breaths here.